everyone. In this episode of the SIA Business Podcast, I would like to share some huge mistakes that I see people making quite often in their guest post pitches. Um, actually, I got a guest post pitch just a few hours ago today, and I received quite a few of these, not too many, but I received quite a few of these from people who like to contribute to my blog, which is at sayyidirfanajmal.com. So let's go through these mistakes. Mistake number one: when I received this email, there is no headshot, right? So I mean, if you are putting all of this effort in sending a guest post page, make sure that there is some kind of visuals in it, right? And I would say that headshot is like the bare minimum that you can do in terms of visuals, right? It just brings in some familiarity, in my opinion. Secondly, the second biggest mistake I would say is when you are using web mail. Okay, so in this case, the person is using gmail.com, and I can see that it's not even the person emailing it because it says Edgar.Wilson promotion. So even the person Edgar Wilson, he's using someone to do his promotion, right? So even then, it's not like the actual email address, if you know what I mean, right? So that's, I would say, is mistake number two. You can easily, if your domain is, Sayyid.com, okay, or let me come up with a simpler example. If your email is, if your website is, you know, um, Nike.com, and you are doing outreach for it, just buy a secondary domain from Namecheap for like $10 or something, which, let's say, we would call it Nike Outreach, or Nike Promotion or something, right? And you can use that to send your emails after, and G Suite makes it pretty easy, so you can use G Suite. Or if you don't want to pay for G Suite, which I think is like $6 per month, then you can use your hosting's email service, right? Okay, so the third mistake of this guest post page is that I mean, it may be a matter of personal preferences, but I really don't like this subject line for several reasons. Okay, for one, it uses the word free, right? While this email did reach my inbox, I mean, but a lot of the times this can be seen as a spammy word, and it may be flagged as a promotional email, and so it will not reach the target person's inbox, and in fact it will reach their promotions folder, or it will reach their spam folder, right? So I would say avoid using that. There is also no personalization in it. I would say that if I was pitching my articles to a site, and let's say if I was pitching an article to a competitor of Forbes, then I would mention that I would try to use the subject line, and I have done it previously, where I would try to use article idea from a Forbes columnist, right? So let's say if I'm pitching an idea to Mashable.com, then I can maybe mention article idea from TechCrunch columnist or Forbes columnist. Okay, so that would be one way to do it. Or you can make it something like more personalized and more in depth, where you can say that article idea, um, article idea for a topic that your audience cares about. Okay, so there are many ways to do it, but I just don't think that this is, and I'm not able to provide you some really good examples. I will do a separate podcast video on what makes a really good podcast pitch, but in this one we are trying to focus more on the mistakes, right? So that, I would say, is the third mistake. One more thing that you can do, by the way, in the subject line, other than adding the first name or something, is to maybe add the company name of the target recipient, right? You can also add like an emoticon. You can maybe add a question mark, because that can also increase your open rate and your response rate in my opinion. Method number 4 is kind of connected to this one, where I mean obviously in the subject line you don't see any personalization either, but then this person did not mention it here either. I mean, if you open my website, it's pretty easy to see what my name is, and I'm sure if you are using a tool like Hunter or something, you can easily find out what my name is, right? So I mean, it would have been nicer if he had mentioned my name or my company name and so on. Even better if he had mentioned how he came across a particular article of mine and why he liked it, or um, how his experience is relevant to the topic at hand. So let's say I have a personal branding guide on my website. So if he had mentioned that I have, let's say, I've written about personal branding previously, or I have run ads I have run ads for a personal branding expert or something like that, So that would have helped me see that we have some common interests. Okay. Um, Number 5 is also kind of similar to personalization. I would say that he could have searched, so he could have. It's all about I, if you see, right? It's all like I statements. I really hope you are doing well. My name is XYZ. I have worked with, and so on, right? But to give you an example and to explain how it's, and the reason I, and the reason I put it under a separate heading rather than mentioning it under personalization is that I like to label personalization as just a journal personalization, right? Like if you're mentioning their article, or if you're mentioning their name, their company name, and so on, right? But I think this goes a bit deeper than that, the mistake number 5, and I would share an example of how to do it right. So we have an agency, right? We have an agency called DMR.agency, and we were doing outreach for a client who have had a blog focused on beauty and cosmetics and so on, right? What we did was that what we did was that what I did was that I was doing research, and I found a pretty huge website, which was focused on beauty, cosmetics, and so on. And what I did was that I basically saw that I was going through its pages, and I saw that it has had a discussion forum, and I went through a discussion forum and I found a particular topic. I think it was called something like chapped lips, and it was a topic that a lot of the readers of that website were quite interested in. That question had a lot of followers. There were so many replies on that question, and so on. Okay, so I contacted the editor, and I mentioned that I can see that you guys have your audience is very interested in this topic, and you guys are not really covering this topic in any blog posts of your pretty large website, right? And I instantly got a reply, and the editor was very happy that I did my research, and that I didn't just came up with a topic, but I actually backed it up with relevant research, and I actually gave them information about what their audience is looking for, right? So that I think is something that you want to sort of look into it and consider, right? Now this person is also saying that he has written articles previously and drove traffic to websites, but the mistake I think he's making here, mistake number 6 that he's making here is that he does not even mention what kind of publications he has written for, right? But even if you are someone who has never written for a publication, the least you can do is to use some kind of names there, right? You can mention how you have worked with similar marketing agencies, or you have worked with international speakers. If you're reaching out to an international speaker, you can mention you know, some kind of names that can help the recipient respect you more. Okay. Um, Number seven, no focus. Okay, so I mean, if you look at here, he's writing about tech, home, design, lifestyle, travel, health, legal, business services, but he does not even link to any of his articles. He does not even mention his own blog or something, you know. And he's writing about so many different topics. There is no focus at all, right? So I mean, since he has not added the links either, I would like to conclude that he has basically not written about these topics, and that even if he has written about these topics, then he's not really an expert on these topics, right? Okay, mistake number 8 is that he's asking me for a do follow link from. He's asking me for a do follow link from that article that he's proposing that he will write for me, and he's doing it in the right very first email, you know. So I mean, this is like his very first email. He could have done that. I try not to do it directly or explicitly in most cases. I'm just a bit hesitant, but I do know that many recipients are totally fine if you ask them. But I think that asking for it right in the first email is not something that you should be doing ever at all. You know, this is like a very lazy approach. Like, you are not really invested. You have not come up with a personalized page. You have not included your portfolio link or anything like that, and so on. So, you know, why would you ask me for a link if I have, you know, just ask me for one thing at one time? You know, you are asking me for a guest post, so, you know, let's leave it at that. And then if I say yes, then, you know, you can go ahead and ask me about our links policy and so on, right? Mistake number 9 is that all this email, and I would say it's a pretty large email, it's a pretty long email, it does not mention any questions. Okay. And if you've seen our previous podcast episode where we did the review of a tool called Boomerang, you would have noticed that according to Boomerang's research, which they conducted on millions of emails, if you include a couple of questions in your pitch, in your emails, that increases the probability of you receiving a response by a big margin, right? So, I mean, he could have simply, you know, added a simple question at the end, like, you know, what do you think? Or, you know, would you like me to share my writing samples? Or would you like me to suggest some topics, you know, or you know, things like that. Mistake number 10 is that he has not mentioned any kind of social media links. So, you know, there is no picture. The email is, you know, clearly set up just for outreach, so it's not quote unquote a real email. I cannot see, you know, which sites he's writing for. I cannot see if he has a blog. I cannot see his portfolio. I cannot see his LinkedIn or Twitter. I cannot see if he's actively posting somewhere on social media. So, you know, how do I know that this is a real person, right? And that he's legit and he has quality content out there, right? So that's mistake number 10. Now, the bonus here is that you should also avoid some of these smaller mistakes. I mean, depending on your point of view, they can be small or big, but you know, I think the email is pretty large, so that would come under the miscellaneous set of mistakes. And I would also include, you know, you can see that here he is mentioning his name as Edgar, and here as well, but then here he's saying it's Floyd, right? Then he also has typos, like, I mean, you are not supposed to capitalize my here, right? So it just shows that he has not really proofread his pitch, you know, and he's just sending his emails without any sort of regard for the other person's time. And you know, I know maybe I should not have disclosed his email like this, and I did not do it intentionally. Actually, totally forgot. But I think, you know, if I have gone through his pitch and it has, you know, taken me some time to go through his pitch and all that, then, you know, me doing a video about it and highlighting some of the mistakes this person has made, if he ever watches this, then I think that he can learn a lot from it, in my humble opinion, right? So yeah, that's it for this episode of the podcast. These are the biggest 10 or 11 mistakes that I could find in this pitch. Um, do let me know if you agree with this, or if you have a different view about some of these mistakes, and also let me know if there is any other major mistakes or blunders that I have missed. Okay, thank you so much. Take care. Bye.